In this video, we're going to be talking about how you can go from a simple idea to income in 5 steps. The video is actually going to be talking through 6 different steps, but you should hopefully be making some revenue by the 5th step. So step 1, now like any great business, it all is going to basically start off with an idea. Now, how do you actually come up with this idea? And the most important ingredient to a good idea is a solid problem. Not a problem that you think sounds cool or a problem that you think would be good at a dinner party to talk about. It needs to genuinely be a problem that actually exists. You've ideally experienced it yourself as well, or you've spent loads of time trying to actually understand the people who are actually going through that problem to see whether or not you can actually build up a decent solution to that problem. The best founders that I've ever worked with all been completely obsessed over the problem itself, not necessarily just their solution to the problem. For instance, Airbnb's founders couldn't afford their rent. Spanx's founder, Sarah Blakely, didn't like her underwear. And the guy who invented luggage wheels was just sick and tired of carrying his luggage around. So these founders felt the problem firsthand and then built the solution around that problem. So before you go and do anything, just ask yourself these 2 simple questions. What problem am I trying to solve? And have I experienced this myself? Or have I spent sufficient time actually understanding the people who have actually gone through and experienced this problem? Because if you don't deeply understand the problem, you will not be able to come up with the right solution to that problem. Step 2. So once you've got an idea, you want to start having a look at segmenting your market, or what's known as market segmentation. So here's what that means. Let's say your target is fitness or education, and then you're going to be breaking that down into slightly smaller or specific markets. For example, if you're looking to build out a fitness app, is this fitness app actually aimed at runners? Is it aimed at weightlifters? Is it aimed at powerlifters? Is it aimed at, I don't know, is it aimed at people trying to recover from injuries? And also, is it actually going to be aimed towards students? Or is it aimed towards working professionals? Or is it aimed towards parents? What you're looking for here is segments where people actually share the same problem, they've got the money to pay for it, and they have a clear channel to reach out to them. So right now, as you're watching this, ask yourself, who am I really serving and who feels this pain the most? So segmentation is super, super important. So you really want to make sure you're not just generalizing, because if you're actually going to be building something for everyone, then you will not be selling it to anyone. Step 3, now you're going to be really focusing on this market segmentation piece a little bit further and finding a beachhead market. Now this term actually comes from the military, so when you're actually going to, I don't know, try and invade, you're going to be going and targeting one particular beach, trying to take hold of that particular beach and then spreading and growing from there. And you do the same thing in business. Take Amazon as an example. They actually started off by just selling books online. Facebook started off by just focusing on Harvard students. And then Uber started off just in San Francisco, trying to take over that particular city. And then once they actually got really good market traction, that's when they actually started to have a look elsewhere and spreading across different cities. So your beachhead market is where you can win first. It's small enough to dominate, but large enough for you to actually make a solid impact. Think about it as your basic test kitchen. If you're testing a recipe, if your recipe works there, then it's probably going to be working somewhere else. So there's 3 simple tips that you can have a look at to try to really focus on this beachhead market. And that is tight community. So are they easy to reach? Is it an urgent pain? Is it a clear reason to buy? Or ideally, if they're actually already spending money on this particular problem, then you know it's a tested market anyway. And then is there a word of mouth effect? So do these people actually speak to each other? So let's say you're building an AI copywriting tool. Instead of actually targeting all businesses, start off with marketing agencies that focus on e-commerce. They'll all share similar needs. They'll all hang out in the same places. They'll all speak to each other. And from this, you can really start to learn quite quickly exactly what they want. So step 4, now you've actually figured out your beachhead market. You can now start to look at actually validating whether or not your solution or your product is actually a good fit or not. Now, there are multiple ways that you can do this, but the best way to try to validate whether or not your idea is any good is just to speak to your potential customers. Try to have as many conversations with them as possible, because you will learn so much more by just having conversations with them than you would do from doing any of your own particular research, whether you're utilizing AI like ChatGPT or Claude, or you're trying to just Google things or read reviews or have a look through all sorts of different other channels. Best is going to come from speed. And when you are going to speak to these individuals or these potential customers, don't just go in pitching your idea. Actually just say to them, like, look, I'm not here to sell. I'm only here for research purposes. I'd like to understand your problem in a little bit more detail. And then you can just start rattling through a list of questions that you've hopefully already preempted or gotten written down. I do have a full video on how to actually validate your idea in a lot of detail. I'll send a link in the actual description below to have a look and check it out. Now you understand whether or not your solution is going to actually solve this problem. You can then actually start to look at building the thing, whether or not that is a minimum viable product or an MVP, or you can actually start off, which I think is a better way, start off by actually providing the solution to the problem as a service. This way, you're just getting to understand the problem itself even more. You're going through the pains of actually solving that problem as well. It'll also then start getting you through a position where you're generating some income from it. And you can then utilize that to either fund yourself and keep growing, or you can then put that straight back into the product to get it built and productize your service. Step 5. Building your MVP. So by now, hopefully you've validated your problem, you've already started to build out your MVP, or you're even just providing your solution as a service to your customers, generating some income. You're in a good spot. Now, a lot of founders then tend to make a big mistake at this section where they try to spend so much time and effort and money building out the perfect MVP, but it is not about building the perfect product. All it needs to do is actually solve that pain point for them. It doesn't need to have all the bells and whistles on it. It doesn't need to look phenomenal. It doesn't need to have any of the nice to haves or any of that. Strip it down to the bare bones, and all it needs to do is actually solve their problem. That is it. Think of it like a restaurant. You don't go and just set up a 300 table restaurant with a full menu on one single day, just going boom. You'd probably start off by a small little pop-up, and that's a bit rough and ready. It's just the simple basic dishes that you actually like to create and to see whether or not people actually want to buy them and they like them. And then you can slowly but surely add extra features to it or more dishes to it, and then actually build out into a full-blown restaurant. Again, we can look at Airbnb as a bit of an example. They basically just started off by providing simple airbeds in their own apartment. That is it. That was their minimum viable product. So here's your filter. If it doesn't directly solve the pain point, get rid of it. No fancy branding, no extra features, no nice to haves. Like I said, just the one thing that makes your customer say, yes, this actually fixes my problem. You'll learn so much more, and you'll get your product to a much better position if you ship fast, get it in front of real users, and then start taking feedback and iterating on that product. The market will teach you so much more than you will from learning, thinking, and trying to do it yourself. So one simple question I like to ask myself is, what is the smallest or most basic version of this product or service that I can provide to someone to solve their problem? And that's your MVP. And then step 6, iterate and scale it. So you've launched your MVP, you've got your first customers, you're getting your first bits of feedback. Now you need to utilize that feedback to iterate your product and make it a little bit better. Think about it like a chef perfecting a signature dish. The first version might be good, but then after some feedback, some few tweaks, some minor additions, maybe a couple of things taken away, that's when they find that perfect dish. And here's how you do it. Collect feedback relentlessly. So talk to your users all the time, daily if you can. What do they love? What frustrates them? Where are they dropping off in the process? Set up conversations, send out surveys, watch session recordings if you've got software to actually start having a look and seeing how people are utilizing your software or product. Whatever you need to do in order to understand the people's pain points and experiences utilizing your product in more detail, do it. 2, focus on retention, not just acquisition. Getting customers is one thing, but keeping them is a whole different party. If people aren't sticking with you and coming back for more and more and more, then you will not have a successful, scalable business. You need to ensure you're consistently building up that bottom line. You will never be in a position where you can actually scale if you've got a leaky bucket, basically. So make sure you fix those holes before you can then start pouring more and more into it. And 3, double down on what's working. Look at your data that you're collecting. What features are getting used the most? What message converts the best? What channel brings the best quality customer? Do more of that, and then cut out all the rest, because the rest is just noise. And then, and only then, once you've proven product market fit within your beachhead market and you're feeling the pull of more and more people wanting to utilize it, that's when you expand and scale. You move from the beach to the mainland. Like Uber went from San Francisco to pretty much every other city that I know of. Amazon went from books to bloody everything. Like there's probably a million one things, but those books are probably from Amazon. But they didn't rush. They honed their product in that beachhead first before then expanding. So building a business is not about having the best idea in the world. It's just about building a simple solution to a problem that is painful enough for people to pay. So take your time. If you found this useful, hit the subscribe button. If you want a full tried and tested step-by-step guide on how to actually go from idea to a profitable business in 24 simple steps, then head over to dd.ventures. I'll leave a link in the description below. And as I mentioned, if you want to learn how to validate your idea even further, there'll be a link to the scorecard as well in the description. Cheers.